Hi friends, today we have Ravikant, who is one of our course enrolled students for AI course. And I'll quickly introduce Ravikant and start the discussion. So Ravikant recently joined Amazon in their payments processing team as a data scientist too. And he has about 10 years of work experience, roughly about 10 years of work experience in various companies. A lot of it in a company called Ocwen, which provides financial services. And Ocwen, I believe you spent about 5 to 6 years as a business analyst, senior analyst, and also an assistant manager. So it's a very interesting transition from core domain of financial analyst or financial business analyst and senior analyst and a managerial role to a data scientist too at Amazon in the financial products teams. So very interesting transition. Congratulations.
Thank you, sir. So all credit goes to you, sir, you and your team. So I've been, following you since, I took the course and I always religiously followed your videos and everything. So it's kind of, your voice is actually a lot of motivating for many of us. So whenever I have some low times, I randomly open some video from YouTube and then listen to you. It's like kind of like a refresher to me. Your voice is really motivating, sir. I mean, the way you the passionate, the how much passionate you are, right? So I kind to have that inductive effect inside me, so that I can
But
do the things.
we should give credit where credit is due, because you put in the hard work, you put in the effort, you put in the religious effort. And that's where, I mean, to be honest with you, any student who succeeds in any of our programs, we believe that 90% of the credit should go to the student because he or she has put in the effort. 10% only should go to the course creators like me and our mentors. Again, a lot of heavy duty work is actually done by our mentors, not just by me. I'm just the face of it. So
Right.
Cool. So let's get into the discussion, the core of the discussion itself. And thank you for your appreciation. It means a lot to all of our team members. I wanted to understand your interview experience, specifically at Amazon and other companies that you may have interviewed at, given that you're coming from a business analyst background to a data scientist too, that too at Amazon, not a data scientist one, because you have almost 10 years of work experience. So what sort of skills were companies like Amazon looking at? And can you go a little more into detail?
Sure, sir. So yeah, prior to that, I just want to do a small inclusion to my introduction. So if you see, actually, I have graduated from I did my graduation in architecture. So it's it's way apart from the tech in all the all the stats world. So it was my journey towards data scientist is in almost all the 10 years, I must say, because the day I graduated from my college, so I had option to join either an architecture company or some software job. So I joined joined as a programmer in Headstrong Capital Markets. So that's the company that came to my campus back then. So yeah, then I slowly transitioned into so for sure I knew that I don't want to pursue architecture, but I wasn't sure about what what to pursue. So so my career, if you see my career transition, you would be looking at I was kind of a nomad, working in hands-on in your software, picking up Java, picking up C Sharp, .NET, and then I'm not, I wasn't finding any passion in it. So I kind of, looking for it in every job that I transitioned. So finally, so I landed in Ocwen, where I was, fortunately recruited as a predictive analyst slash financial analyst. But yes, so that kind of helped me give a baseline, to my credentials, because whenever I attended any interviews prior to that, I was always, pointed out that I have a bachelor's degree in architecture and not, not at all related to any technology field. So that was kind of drawing me back. But Ocwen kind of gave me a base to start my career in data science. So the things that I liked in data science is a kind of exploring data, make the data talk back, as in, like, so I like that kind of work, because I always was inquisitive, watching all these thriller movies and all those things. So I liked data scientist.
So
So
you finally found your passion or your
yeah,
calling in data science, especially at
right.
Ocwen, where you're doing a lot of financial data analysis.
Right. But at that point of time, so my, I mean, like, since I cleared the interview, I joined there, but there were many jargons floating around within the team, which I wasn't able to understand. So though I had basic knowledge about, logistic regression, integration. So because I had some past, self-study that I have done doing some courses and all, but that they were not pretty streamlined, or, I wasn't fundamentally strong. So this is when I actually came across the course Applied AI. So one of my teammates actually recommended me. It gave me immense knowledge to transition completely and thoroughly into data science. Actually, my intention was to take the course. To take the course is to to be better at the job than finding a job outside Ocwen. So that's why I stayed for around 5 years in Ocwen,
I
learning
also see
hands-on.
that in the last year that you're part of the course, last
Right.
year and a half, you've also taken a lot of learnings in the course, because in our past discussions with you over email, etc., I was just going through them.
Right.
You're also trying to apply whatever you're learning here to your work, which is extremely important, given that you're like a fairly senior professional with 10 years of experience.
Right.
So that is very important for people with 5+ years of experience to take whatever they're learning from the course and apply it to their current job, so that they can showcase that if they want to transition or grow in the same organization.
Yeah, that's what I liked about this course. I mean, it's not only AI, it's applied AI. I mean, you would be learning how to apply it, knowing all the fundamentals, everything, all the all those limitations of each of these algorithms, all those edge cases, everything. So I mean, it's not spoon fed. It makes you actually think about what happens when you apply this algorithm, and why is it not working, why is it taking time, all those things. As in, like, even your public live sessions I used to attend. So I mean, they were quite challenging. I mean, when you actually have a open interview forum where you ask questions, it made us think. I mean, it has helped me thoroughly to crack this job.
Cool. Can you shed some light on your interview experiences? For example,
Sure.
how hard were the interview rounds? What were the interviewers looking for in terms of skills? And how hard were they comparable to what you have learned in the course?
Sure. So I had total, I think, 7 rounds of interview. So and it covered almost everything, sir. So as in, like, it covered science depth, breadth, the business cases, the design interview, code interview. Also, Amazon emphasizes on the leadership principle. So there were multiple rounds on that as well. So every round covered almost everything. From each of these sections that I mentioned, and how this course actually helped me. So as I said, so science, they covered science breadth. So many of the things I had in theory, in mind, but because of this course, I mean, like, I couldn't get an opportunity to utilize them in back in my organization in Ocwen. But with this course, I had an opportunity to utilize them in my assignments, across different things. So that kind of gave me the breadth of it, which have helped me to clear the interview rounds. And so the business case and the design interviews were also helpful. I mean, like, the kind of public sessions that you do, that you take, as in, like, open interview rounds. So where you made us think, right? So it's a similar, a pattern that was followed for Amazon as well.
So I follow the same pattern that I used to
Right.
follow at Amazon as an interviewer.
Right.
So I keep going into depth and trying to stretch the candidate to see how deep and how broad their knowledge is. So it's the same pattern that a lot of interviewers at Amazon that I have personally learned at Amazon myself.
Right.
So sorry, go ahead.
Yeah. Based on my past experience, also they wanted to throw an open-ended question, so that they want to know, I mean, like, how much experience that I have in each of these pipelines, and what creativity that I bring in these pipelines.
So were there also rounds specific to your domain expertise, because you worked in financial services and the hiring team also works on financial products? So did you have some of those domain expert related rounds?
So as a part of leadership principles round, so I I had to explain my project, so which were completely financial based. So they went. I mean, so since the hiring was also in the finance thing, so they were validating my leadership principles and those projects. Asking deep questions. In depth, asking all the questions. All those edge cases. I mean, they were actually, if it was some other domain, they wouldn't have related, but it's a finance. So they have asked me everything end to end.
So those questions are typically to ensure that you have actually done it and you are
Right.
not just saying that you have done it. So that's the typical objective behind those rounds.
Correct.
So in terms of the core science, programming, the problems, the case studies, in terms of those problems, how were they comparable to what you have encountered in the course, either in terms of course content, assignments, the case studies we solve, the live sessions we do? So how was the data scientist 2 interview round in terms of hardness comparable to what you have learned in the course?
I would say, I mean, if you could do the applied AI course thoroughly, attend everything, and do whatever you say, I mean, it's easy to crack. As in, I was under the impression that Amazon interviews are hard to crack, but I mean, like, you made it very easy. The course that it was very easy to answer those queries. I mean, you covered everything almost. So there were nothing. I mean, no question as such which was out of the course. I mean, like, there were a few questions where they were. I mean, like I was saying, the science depth, right? So they went into asking few of the formulations, few of the edge cases, few of the limitations. So so in science depth, they actually go from from the basic and to complete depth around formulations, edge cases, as I said. So it was completely thorough. That helped actually. Your course content helped me there. Yeah.
So sorry. So that's why when we teach in the course also, we start from the first principles, derive all the math steps, because in our own interview, as an interviewer in our own experiences, especially at top product-based companies, both for data scientist 1, 2, even to data scientist 3 roles, the pattern is, does this person know the depth? Can he derive things from first principles? If I change the formulation slightly, can he or she figure it out? And if I add an edge case, can they figure out how the math works? So that's why we teach the math. Some of the students don't like, they keep asking us, why are you teaching us all these proofs? We tell them, if you have to interview and prepare for the top companies, this is mandatory. You can't escape this, especially in the depth rounds.
Cool. A few things that have helped me a lot, as in, like, in your course, whenever you go from one algorithm to another algorithm, like for in case RNN, you actually say why I mean, like, why are we studying this, as in, like, what extra thing that it solves that the previous algorithm couldn't solve.
Yes.
So that kind of orientation actually helped me even in my projects. So that is quite helpful. I mean, like, you have changed the orientation of thinking. So this, I mean, unlike other courses where they would be just giving you all the course content, I mean, just for the sake of it, but you actually mentioned, why is this algorithm important? Why is this algorithm? Why? I mean, like, I understood the sequence of it when you explained, everything. So it fit. I mean, the course content fit in the same lines, as in.
So another question that I had for you was in terms of your learning strategy. Given that you have 10 years of work experience, you have other responsibilities, both personal and work related. How did you complete the whole course successfully in a year's time?
Right. I had no particular time that I followed. I mean, like, with having a kid at home, it's kind of agile. You have to be agile. I mean, I live in Bangalore, so the traffic, and also, so I intentionally don't take cars to office. So I also spend that time, 1.5 hours in the traffic, just going through all those videos. I mean, that's the only time. I mean, like, it's kind of ad hoc, as I said. Sometimes I woke up at 4 in the morning, sometimes late in the night, and sometimes during any transits that I have. So this, I mean, like,
so on an average, how much of effort were you putting in on weekly basis? On an average,
I kind of put 2 to 3 hours daily. Yeah.
Okay, that makes sense, because that's roughly your whole commute time pre-COVID. Right. And during the COVID hours, you save that time anyway, so you can spend it early in the morning or late in the night. Cool. So in terms of suggestions that you can give for
Mhm.
professionals very similar to you, because we have some students and also working professionals who come from the business analysis backgrounds. It could be business analysis in finance, it could be business analysis in other domains like banking, it could be business analysis in pharma. They have deep domain expertise because they've worked for 5+ years and they've done some form of basic data analysis in their respective roles as a business analyst. So what sort of recommendations can you give them from your vantage point if they want to crack the good product-based companies for data scientist roles?
Right. So, I mean, like, just showcase your strengths whenever there is an interview, because you should not ignore your past experience. You should build on it. And coding is one thing I think it would be a little challenging for some of the business analysts. So that I actually tried to just followed everything that you said regarding Python, regarding SQL, everything. So I mean, it's essential to have a mentor with you, like Srikanth sir or any other person. So I mean, like, or any other fellow applied AI course mate, that would be helpful, because having a peer learning improves your learning content. You'll get more perspectives, through sharing. So that would help you in the long run as well.
So the purpose behind our Slack group was exactly that similar minded students would group together and have the peer learning experience. And we have seen very similar suggestions and comments from others who have also succeeded, who have made the most out of the course. So as much as you learn from mentors and instructors and videos and assignments, equally good amount you can learn from peer discussions on our Slack groups, for sure.
Yeah.
Cool.
And I also was going through all these comments, everything. So my strategy was to, I mean, like, first complete all the video course, and then after a month or so, come back, revise again, look at all the comments, answer them, so to gain perspective, and then just move forward to the assignments. As in, like, so that was my strategy to complete the course.
Very nice. The strategy that you're using, comments as a revision itself, is a very nice strategy, because some of the comments, especially the top 4 or 5 comments, which are also upvoted by us as as a program administrators and instructors, those are really good. If somebody can answer the top 5 questions on their own in their revision, that shows that they have the depth and perspective, both in terms of breadth and depth of a concept. It's a very nice strategy. Cool.
And other strategy also, actually, I did, as in, like, a few of this, I mean, like, for the coding thing. So what I did was, so there was one assignment on SGD, right? Writing from scratch.
Yes.
So whenever there is an interview that is scheduled, in a week or so, so what I do is, in order to revise some algorithm, I write a code from scratch. So it will cover all the edge cases. It will revise, the whole, everything about the algorithm, all those things, as in, like, so it would kind of help in in all the ways.
No, that's very helpful. That's very helpful. To be honest with you, I used to do something very similar when I was younger and I was preparing for some of these job interviews myself. I would derive, so instead of writing code, I would actually start the derivation from first principles. Like when I interviewed at Amazon, right? This is almost a decade ago. And earlier at Yahoo Labs and other companies that I interviewed in between, I would basically derive all the techniques that I can quickly think of or that I've used extensively from first principles. And that gives you the whole knowledge of how everything works. And in top product-based companies, that is extremely important, because that's how most interviewers test your depth. Right? Do you know all the edge cases of SGD? I mean, of all the hundreds of interviews that I've done at Amazon, 95% of candidates cannot write SGD without bugs. Just SGD. Take simple linear regression, SGD, or logistic regression, SGD, or take linear SVM, SGD. Most people can't implement it bug-free in half an hour. So that's a very good test that I used to use extensively. That's why it's also there in the course assignments.
Right, sir. So yeah, I mean, like, I had like, as I said, so I have kid, and also I had this time constraint always, in order to revise if there is any interview coming up. So I have something set up, like, I've recorded my own voice explaining the algorithms. so that it would help me later when I preparing for interview. So it would give me confidence as to, okay, so these are my words, this is how I speak, and I can correct myself if needed. But yeah, so that is all helped a lot, listening to your own voice,
This is very interesting
explaining the
because you get clarity of explanation. You're also building
right.
your ability to explain something clearly in an interview setup. So that's also a very nice skill, actually. I mean, we'll surely take that feedback and try to incorporate it in some of our assignments if we can. That's a very nice point.
Right. There is one thing that I just wanted to tell, as in, like, to everyone. So if I can do, as in, like, being an architect with no stats, with no tech background, then anyone can do it. I mean, my
As
journey
long as
might
they
be
put in
slow.
the effort. As long as they
Right,
put
right,
in the
right.
effort.
Right. But my journey might be slow, but I finally did it. It's better late than never. So I mean, it's the same case for you. I mean, never. There will be some instances when you'd be facing some headwinds. With your personal self, like you might be on the verge of giving up. So I mean, listen to Verma sir's voice. You'll be you'll get that passion to bounce back and
I had one
crack
question
into
on
it.
that front because a lot of students go through this emotional roller coaster of ups and downs. And some
Right.
of them, when they're in the down, they give up. Apart from my voice, can you tell us some suggestions that have helped you come out of that lows, especially on the verge of giving up?
Right.
What worked for
So
you?
so a couple of things. So I had a few of my friends who are already in data science. So and my brother, who's actually a little, I mean, he always supports me emotionally. Whenever I'm down, I actually go back to him. I mean, like, having a mentor would actually help. And also, I also, I mean, to keep me motivated, I also attend these uh, public offline meetups. I used to attend, not now, but pre-COVID, I used to attend them. Interact with, I mean, kind of interacting, networking with people. You know, because I mean, like, you can't travel this journey alone. You should always have some mentor or some person who would be, you'd be sharing those, you know, those all those feelings with them. And you would, I mean, in this journey, I knew that I'm not the only one who's actually in that verge, but there are few other people as well. So that kind of told me, okay, yeah, you can do it. Okay, I mean, like, so I never gave up. Whenever there are low times, I do all these things which have helped me bounce back.
So this is very similar to when I used to run long distance when I was younger in a military school. The
Yeah.
strategy was you run along with a friend for some distance, right? Of course, at some point, one of you will get slowed down, but the other guy keeps pulling you forward. So,
Right.
so it's very similar because this is not like a 100-meter sprint. It is more like a marathon that you have to run for a year.
Right. Sir.
Consistently putting in effort. So having a good peer or a family member or a friend from college or friend from work who can be your guide and mentor on the path is extremely helpful. No doubt about it.
Right.
Yeah, that's a great suggestion. Thank you, Ravikant. Thank you once again on behalf of all of our students and team. And thank you for sharing your journey. I'm sure it will help a lot of working professionals with similar backgrounds and experiences like you make the informed choice and also put in the effort to succeed. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. It's a pleasure talking to you.
Thank you, Ravi.